Hi, this video is going to be about Israeli-Iranian war, and you will hear things that you won't hear anywhere else. I'm going to go pretty deep into it. I'm going to put a lot of history that's not being reported or is being twisted and manipulated. And I'm going to address the pros and cons against America being involved and how Israel plays a role and some history of Iran and all of that. So bear with me. It might be long. Took a bunch of notes so I wouldn't forget something. Normally I don't take notes when I do videos, but this is very important. This is very, very important, this conflict, and it will affect the world and America, of course. So it is in our interest to make the right decision. And as I said, you are going to hear things that I've been monitoring for the last 3 days, TV and social media and everything. And that's why I decided to do the video, to dispel a lot of things and set the record straight, as they say. I would like to start addressing Charlie Kirk. And the reason, because if anything, at least maybe somebody will catch this right at the beginning. I've been watching him, and I just finished watching him today. And I am a fan of Charlie Kirk. So this is not like criticizing somebody that I'm against or having issues with someone I'm against. This is because I do care about Charlie Kirk. I've been a fan for a long time because Charlie actually has done many things that when I was younger I wanted to do. The first thing, as he started, I actually worked on trying to educate college students and talk to college students about the world affairs and America affairs. And I was ahead of my time, and it didn't go really anywhere. And that's when I had a radio show. So I really cheered Charlie on. He took it to way where I ever imagined it could be taken. And the reason I'm addressing Charlie is because with great power, which he has, enormous amount of power, comes great responsibility. And the one thing he has wrong, in my opinion, and I'll explain why, is we shouldn't be involved in regime change. And he lays out a case which is compelling only halfway, because it only goes, and he's young. I mean, I'm double his age. So, and actually, through some of the things that in history happened, I actually lived through. He didn't, and he's not really going too far back in history. So his main and a lot of other detractors of regime change and getting involved in Iran, and don't misunderstand, we'll clarify what my opinion is, how we should get or should not get involved in Iran and support Israel or not. So he's looking back at the actually very short history, going back 30 years or whatever, with the debacles of Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, even now Syria. And so he's looking at things from that perspective. And I think we need to look at things broader than that. So his whole argument is regime changes don't work. And every time it has happened, it's been a disaster. Well, that actually is not true, because as I said, we have to look a little more in history than just last 30, 40 years. So there's been a lot of regime changes, of course, throughout history, and a lot of them that America's been involved in. So Nazi Germany, regime change. Fascist Italy, regime change. Okay, First World War, Ottoman Empire, totally dissolved, regime change. Austrian-Hungarian Empire, the empire disappeared, just like the Ottoman Empire. So regime change. Others. So, we can go to Egypt, regime change, where America was involved. That didn't go good. but the ones I mentioned when actually, well, Imperial Japan, of course. The Soviet Union, fell apart, regime change. So Cambodia, Pol Pot, regime change. There's been a lot of, or some regime change that we prevented. Vietnam, for a while, but I wanted to say Korea. So there has been positive regime changes. So this whole attitude that regime changes, Charlie Kirk is saying, always bad, only gets worse, is not true. Will it be worse here? We'll examine that in Iran. So right there, it's one big flaw of Charlie's thinking. The other thing is that, okay, Charlie is saying, and a lot of people are saying that they absolutely trust Trump. It's his decision, yes, and that they trust the decision he's going to make. Well, Charlie might believe that, and other people might believe that, but it's not true. If you truly would trust Trump to make the right decision, you would not try to influence him and influence his supporters and influence the American public with your opinions, and actually therefore putting pressure on Trump to make the decision that you favor or you think is right. So you might believe, Charlie, that you trust Trump, but your actions show otherwise. You would otherwise stay out of it. And right now you're even in Washington. You said yourself, talking to people. So you are trying to influence. So, and that's I don't trust anybody, okay? I do trust Trump, and because of his record, that he hopefully will make the right decision. But unfortunately, because all the influence, all the pressure on him, and Trump is known to change his mind based on input and opinions, so which is normal. And that's good when people change their view or opinion if they're more educated, find out more information. But I do trust Trump. I know Trump was saved and appointed to this position by God. But so were many other people. King David did wrong things deliberately. I'm not saying that Trump will, but people make mistakes. We're just human. So actually, I would wish that, like Charlie Kirk and others, would stop putting pressure on Trump, especially when they're wrong, and just leave him and let the God influence him, and not people that actually don't know what they're talking about in these situations. So the Charlie Kirk and other people are saying that, of course, the regime change would be a disaster. It's going to be worse, and that it's going to destabilize the whole region. Well, actually, the regime that's there now, the mullahs, they destabilized the whole region when they came to power in 1979. So they destabilized the whole region and made a mess of it with so many countries supporting Hamas, Hezbollah, and then the Houthis in Yemen, and every terrorist Islamic network around the world. So they destabilized the region already. It hardly, a new regime could hardly be worse in Iran than it's right now. Could things be worse? Always things could be worse than they are right now. But it is hard to imagine that somebody than the mullahs would come in would be worse. Yeah, okay, if ISIS would take over or the Muslim Brotherhood, but the chances of that, I think, are small. And that there is no plan, that Iran is fractured, so many ethnic groups, and there's no plan. Well, actually, that is not true, because Iranians in exile and the Shah, they've been working for a long time to try to reinstate the constitutional monarchy in Iran. The one thing that as well Charlie has wrong is revisionist history that he bought into, and he's repeating about how America engaged in regime change, how they overthrew, what was his name, the prime minister of Iran, Mogabbagh, or whatever his name is, that communist, and the CIA did that and reinstalled the Shah. That is a lie. That's not real history. That's a lie from the left, and that's a lie from the mullahs. So there was what happened in Iran in '53. Mogadakh, or whatever his name is, the prime minister, he wasn't elected. He was appointed by the parliament, and he actually was a communist, and he was the one that initiated a coup, and that's why the Shah fled for a little bit to Iraq, and the uprising happened by the people in Iran. Yes, there was a plan by the CIA to overthrow him, the communist, but that was never implemented, and the Shah actually went against it, and that's why he left. He didn't want to have a civil war, and he didn't want to initiate a coup. But he was in power. He was a legitimate ruler, and when the people did the uprising, then he came back. Before he left, he actually in his authority as the Shah, he removed. He tried to remove the communist prime minister from power legally. He refused. He was the one that was breaking the laws and the constitution of Iran, and he was the one that tried to initiate a coup. So this revisionist history from the left and from the mullahs, people are buying into, is totally false. Of course, there's a long history in Iran. It's so complicated, but that's another lie, that the Shah was unpopular. Actually, the communists and his Communist Party were unpopular. That's why the people rose up. They took over institutions, radio, and stuff when there were shootings by the communist prime minister to the people, to the demonstrators. So the history is different. I don't want to really spend a lot of time into it than Charlie Kirk is saying. And that's the source of hatred towards America, because America got involved, CIA took down the legitimate government and reinstalled the Shah. Total lie, not true. So it's important when you try to influence the president's actions and people's, you're riling up people to actually get the facts straight about the history. One thing I will mention about the history as well, because it's like a carbon copy, what happened in my native country, Czechoslovakia, in 1948, where there was a communist coup, where the communists took over, of course with the help of the Soviet Union. Who was behind it or organizing it on the ground in Czechoslovakia was the Soviet Union ambassador, and it was successful there. And guess what? That same guy was then in Iran and trying to do the same thing, a communist coup takeover of the country, what they did in Czechoslovakia to do it in Iran. So please learn history before you start influencing people's opinion based on wrong facts. One thing I would listen to is, I heard him a few times, Michael Flynn. I think General Michael Flynn has a lot of things right about this conflict. So I would like to, and this whole, a lot of these pundits that they talk, they keep saying, if it's Jack Posobiec or if it's Tucker Carlson or Steve Bannon, they keep saying the American people want this, the American people want that. That's a bunch of bullcrap. Okay, so I speak for myself, and already saying that the American people this and American people that want this and that, and it's mainly reflecting their own views, what they want. Yes, some population want this, some that, but to be pretending to be speaking for the people. I think it's disingenuous. So the arguments that are being used, as I said, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, is that the regime change didn't work there. Well, first of all, yes, it didn't, and to actually try to do the regime change was wrong. But you got to understand who actually was doing it. It was the Democrats. I mean, in every instance, the Democrats, and Bush, pretty much neocons. So the Democrats and the neocons were behind these failed regime change attempts. Some were deliberate. It was never to actually install democracy, or there were different motivations behind it. But so yeah, of course it was wrong to take out Gaddafi. Totally wrong. It was wrong to be involved in taking out Mubarak, and that was Obama. And then what happened? And then yes, wrong. It was worse than under Mubarak when Morsi got in, the Muslim Brotherhood, and so then the people had to do another regime change. Which America, even that Obama was in power, that he really wanted that Muslim Brotherhood there. I mean, the first international speech he gave, he went to Cairo, to university, to give to Muslim Brotherhood. So, but they kept their mouth shut when the people and Sisi when they did a coup and took power back from the Islamists. So. Yeah, taking out Saddam Hussein was bad as well. But even with Assad, I think we should have handled it different. I think in Syria it's going to be worse now because and that's the difference. Assad, Mubarak, Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, they were really secular. Okay, so they were secular dictators that were keeping at bay the Muslims, and I hate to use the extreme because Islam is extreme. So keep in bay the fundamental Muslims, okay? And so that's the difference in between Iran, where there are fundamental Muslims in power, that actually, and that's the big mistake when people from the West try to project or looking at situation in these Muslim countries or at Islam from their view. They can't. I mean, it's like you got to read Art of War, Sun Tzu. You have to understand your enemy, and if you don't, if you think your enemy is just like you and you can reason with him, when you don't understand their philosophy, what their goals are, motivation, then you're going to lose. And this whole push from several people to MAGA or on the right, that negotiations, and that Israel thwarted the negotiations. Negotiations with the mullahs is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense because they will only use that negotiation to buy time to eventually get the nuclear weapon that they will use. They will, big Satan, small Satan, Israel, America, without a doubt. You have to look at believe them what they say, and look at their doctrine, and look at Quran, and look what their goal is to bring in their Mahdi, 12 Iman, that apocalypse and the whole world to be under the rule of the Mahdi or 12 Iman, whatever, Sunni Shia, and that's going to rule the world under an Islamic submission boot. And it's actually quite interesting that the Bible that describes the Antichrist, that's exactly what Quran describes their Messiah, the Mahdi or the 12 Iman, one and the same person. So you can't reason with them, and any deal that you make with them is bound to fail, like everyone ever has with the mullahs. They're just buying time. So calling for, I just heard today, I don't know if it was on Steve Bannon or Charlie Kirk or whatever, that economic pressure and this is all nonsense. Never will work. And or how far away are they? What does it matter if they're far away a month or 2 years or 5 years? It doesn't matter. Eventually, you're just kicking the ball down the road. Eventually, it's going to come and bite you in the butt. So I don't see any downside in regime change. Should we be involved in a regime change? That's a whole other story. No, I don't think so. Under this situation, no. I would let the Israelis do it. If the reports are true that Trump prevented Israel from assassinating the Ayatollah, then I think that's wrong. Then it's already messing with Israel and what they can and cannot do, which is a long history, actually, of America and Israel. America meddling in Israel's affairs. It's actually the other way around that's being pushed here, that the Jews, Israel really controls America, and we do everything on behalf of Israel, and Israel controls America. That's a huge another lie. That's not true at all. It's actually the other way around. And let me give you some history lesson, okay? And I will get to the foreign aid to Israel, which is overblown as well. So the narrative is that Israel controls America. Through the foreign aid that America is giving Israel, actually America is controlling Israel in a negative way. And I'm not even talking about the left, the Democrats that always meddle in internal politics, always trying to take down the right-wing governments and always trying to install and prop up the left-wing governments, and where they're behind all the protests against Netanyahu and everything. So they're already meddling that way in internal political affairs. But here is how America's been, actually is very responsible where Israel is today. And surrounded by enemies, being attacked constantly, being attacked by first Arab nations, then Hezbollah, Hamas, PLO, Iran. So America's responsible for that because Israel could have had a lot more land and could not have to deal with all these things. So right away in 1956, conflict, Suez Canal, Eisenhower forced Israel to withdraw fully from the Sinai after invaded Egypt with UK and France. So that whole thing was when Egypt nationalized, closed the Suez Canal. 1967, post-Six-Day War, U.S. supported UN Resolution 242, calling for Israel withdrawal from occupied territories. Okay, 1973, Yom Kippur War. Nixon and Kissinger pressured Israel to halt advances and agreed to ceasefire with Egypt. Okay, I think 1973, I think it was, or it was 1967, where they were not too far from Damascus and not too far from Cairo, and America stopped Israel and pressured them to pull back. 1978-79, Camp David Accords. Carter brokered the peace with Egypt, pressured Israel to fully withdraw from the Sinai. Okay, 1982, First Lebanon War. Reagan ordered Israel to stop shelling Beirut. Okay, so 1991, Madrid Peace Conference. Daddy Bush withheld $10 billion in loan guarantees to oppose settlement expansion. 1993, Oslo Accords. Clinton facilitated Israeli recognition of PLO and partial Palestinian self-rule. 1993, Operation Accountability, Lebanon. U.S. brokered ceasefire to stop Israeli Hezbollah fighting. Okay, again, saved Hezbollah. 1996, Operation Grapes of Wrath, Lebanon. Again, U.S. stopped Israel. 2000, Camp David II, Clinton pushed Israel to offer major territorial concessions for final status agreement. 2006, Second Lebanon War. Bush administration shifted from supportive Israel to ceasefire push. And 2009 and 2016, Obama era, Obama challenged settlement growth, and U.S. abstained from UNSC Resolution 2334. So what America's been doing to Israel, they've been pushing for a ceasefire, so Israel could never achieve full victory. It kind of would be like pretty much, Nazi Germany or Ottoman Empire, or whatever, pushing for a ceasefire and not allowing, the Allies to finish the job. So it always, America stopped Israel, and on top of it, pushed for territorial withdrawals. The U.S. consistently supported Land for Peace framework, pushing Israel to seek territory in exchange for diplomatic recognition or security. And security never came, nor did diplomatic really recognition. So the whole narrative that Israel controls America, it's the other way around. And they're doing it through the foreign aid, and they're doing it through that they're going to withdraw support from them. The other thing America's doing, that was the last budget, the aid to Israel, it was based on that they're going to get it. They cannot develop certain military weapons, equipment, and technology, that they can only get it from United States. So now they don't have the mother of all bombs and things that they need to defend themselves. So it's always keeping Israel on a leash, and the foreign aid. So let me get to the foreign aid. Oh, foreign aid, so much foreign aid. So total of U.S. foreign aid is less than 1% of the federal budget. Less than 1% is of total world foreign aid. It's 0.15% of the United States GDP, and it's 0.22% of gross national income. Total, not just total foreign aid. So it really is, when it comes to percentages, it's totally insignificant. Yeah, when then you put it into dollars, billions of dollars, it's a lot, for sure, for normal people. But when it comes to our GDP and our budget and gross national income, it's nothing. Out of that, Israel, out of the less than 1%, Israel received 5% of the foreign aid. Okay? Ukraine got more money in the 2 years or whatever the war is now. In the 2 years, Ukraine got more money from America than Israel since its modern day founding in 1948. Okay? Who else is a recipient of foreign aid? So Israel is always 1-2. Now, Ukraine 1, Israel 2. Most of the time, Israel is 1. Who else is there? Ethiopia, Egypt, and Jordan in the top 5. Okay? Nobody screams about that. Why? Because it's not Jews. I'm going to say it how it is. This is all the double standard, a double measuring tape, different rules and apply for Jews in Israel than for anybody else. So I'm going to call it what it is. It's Jew hatred, Israel hatred, and it's blinding people that once they go down that road, they lose any logical thinking or common sense or good and evil. So another thing that would come up. Oh, so let me get back to Iran. There's one thing I forgot. So Tulsi Gabbard came up and she said, let me cross this I already talked about. So Tulsi Gabbard in March or whatever said that since 2003, the mullahs were not working on a nuclear weapon. That's quite reported, mainly by the right, and that's why I don't associate with anybody, because everybody eventually going to disappoint you and get things wrong, and so I don't want to be in that boat. I am totally for Make America Great Again, and America First actually is quite a farce. Okay, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're gonna go America First, you are doomed to fail. Okay, what should be first is God. God should be first, and then everything else will be added on to you. You put anything above God, you're bound to fail. So the only way to make, which I am for America First, America to prosper, be free, all that. My majority of my family, besides one of my children, all the children are here, all the grandchildren are here. So I really much, I left my native country to come here, become an American legally, and became a legal United States citizen. So I very much care about America and what they do and what they not do, and that's why I also, on the beginning, addressed Charlie Kirk, because he is influencing the next generations that are gonna rule over us. They're gonna determine where America is gonna go. So it's very important to educate them, and that's why I wanted to do it when I was younger, to educate the college student, where I saw the Marxism and leftism and all of that. And and as I talked before, about the age of Charlie Kirk, actually, I was alive, not just alive. I mean, I was already 15 years old when the Ayatollahs came to power, and I was behind the Iron Curtain, so I saw things from a different perspective as well. So I do know a little more than most people actually that talk about this conflict, also from personal experience and other conflicts, and because I have a different perspective from the other side, which I already knew was a lie at the time. So Tulsi Gabbard, but what they're saying is, oh, Tulsi Gabbard, no nuclear program. Oh, the Jews are lying, and Netanyahu's lying, and Israel is lying that they're not that far away from it. They're trying to drag us into another Middle Eastern war, like Israel has dragged us into some other war before. And coming out that Netanyahu actually dragged us into the war in Iraq. Okay, so he testified on behalf of going into Iraq. He wasn't even in power at the time, and he actually was convinced by the Bush administration to do so, to support them wanting to go in there. So, and quite frankly, Israeli politicians have been out of power to influence America to go into war with Iraq. I mean, stop and think about that for a little bit. But if you want to beat the dog, you'll always find a stick to do it with, and especially, it's like 1930s Germany. Jews are responsible for every evil in the world. Please. What they fail to say is that Tulsi Gabbard also has said, which been verified by the International Atomic Energy Agency, or whatever it is, which is no right wing, that the mullahs has enriched uranium stockpile that at the time in 2003 already, that the enriched uranium stockpile was at its highest level and is unprecedented for a state without nuclear weapons. What do you think that was for, or is it for? So the other thing is, why did the American intelligence didn't have it? Have we forgotten that Obama administration put a bunch of Iranian spies into our government and into the intelligence agencies? Have you forgotten about Valerie Jarrett, who Valerie Jarrett was? Her parents were communists that were living in Iran. Some of you forgot about it, some of you don't know about it. So this goes way back, and when Charlie Kirk should probably educate himself and everybody else, when a regime change, it wasn't about reinstalling the Shah, where America was involved in regime change. Carter is actually installing the mullahs, actually taking the constitutional monarchy down, not supporting the Shah, actually supporting the mullahs. And U.S. had its hand, Carter, U.S. had its hands in it. They're responsible for the mullahs. And France that was giving sanctuary to Khomeini, and then flew him to Iran. So America actually owes the Iranian people and Israel to at least kind of correct the mess they created and destabilized much more the Middle East than with their war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I wanted to touch on that just a little bit. I was for the war, not for staying there. I said from the beginning, we go in there, Iraq and Afghanistan, we should win, put up signs, mess with us next time, we're going to do even more damage, and leave. Not try to build democracy, which you can't. Okay, the Persian people are different, and that's the whole other thing. I mean, comparing the Persian people and Iraq and Afghanistan, just because they border each other, they're in the same region, is absolutely ludicrous. It would be like comparing United States, Canada, and Mexico, just because they border each other and they're both in America, so it must be the same. And so a lot of these arguments are actually very lame, very short-sighted, very uneducated, that are being pushed against America helping Israel, or helping with Israel with regime change. So I'm totally against boots on the ground, in Iran, of course. But this whole not getting involved, I mean, so Trump shouldn't get rid of ISIS. Trump shouldn't have killed Soleimani, whatever his the Revolutionary Guard had. So Trump, who else? There was al-Baghdadi, or I don't know, the guy died like a dog. It was really funny when Trump announced that. Beautiful dog, but died like a dog. Trump, yes, trust Trump in that if he's going to do a strike or something, not going to be an endless 20-year war, and stop trying to influence him in your wrong decision making and thinking. There is call, even Benjamin Netanyahu called for to stop getting American aid, because Israel is realized that it's a leash, and that's how America controls Israel. Israel didn't have to have tons of problems that they have if America wouldn't be involved, and it wouldn't keep stopping. America doesn't do that to anybody else, okay, but to Israel. So these Jew haters, they keep screaming, "Oh, Israel controls America, and we give them too much money." They don't know what they're talking about, and it's easy to find out. Okay, so AIPAC, that's another thing. Oh, AIPAC. Oh, I watched part of the interview. I couldn't take it, with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. Okay, so Tucker Carlson, I never liked him. I mean, he was on CNN, and I don't know what else he did. And I remember, he was bow-tied. Most of the things he got wrong in his life, his opinions, and he even admitted it. Most of the things when he started changing, where there was I had actually hope when he took over 8 o'clock Fox News. I was like, hey, this guy's waking up to things, and I was actually cheering him on, And then once he left Fox, he was still good, and then suddenly he just started going down the rabbit hole, which I said to everybody. Once you start going down the Jew hatred and the Israel hatred, you lose any common sense and logic, and so that's what's happening to Tucker. And that interview with Ted Cruz was just awful. I did interviews when I had my radio show. I did tons of interviews with tons of people. And this is not, and I actually have never seen Tucker Carlson conduct an interview like this before. But I did stop watching him from the time he had an interview with the Palestinian Christian from Bethlehem, the huge Jew hater. And Tucker Carlson did maybe a year ago or whatever, that priest that always engages with the anti-Israel on the wall. It's a semi-annual event now. I can't think of it what it's called, but so no, you can see Tucker Carlson, by the way, conducts interview where his heart is and who he challenges and who he doesn't, and he totally didn't challenge it. So he's going down the rabbit hole as Candace Owens, and I hope he doesn't get there, but that's where he's at on his way. And he's trying to tell Cruz that he doesn't know what he's talking about, and Tucker Carlson doesn't know that there was an assassination attempt by the Iranians, or a couple are in progress to assassinate Trump. Really, I mean, come on. So we're there. So let me see. Actually, what I was talking about, that even Billy Bibi for getting us into the war in Iraq, but actually Israel, the intelligence agencies at the time, were actually trying to discourage America from going to war, because they were telling them that things are not as they think they are. But the other thing is, Charlie Kirk and everybody else, the Bannon, they keep bringing up the neocons. Lindsey Graham and Bolton and all these guys that, they want regime change and they want to bomb Iran, so it has to be bad. Oh my, for crying out loud, okay? I don't care what those people say. I'm totally against them. They're totally wrong on pretty much everything. But am I going to make my decision or my opinion based on what they say? And just because they say they want to do this, then it's automatically wrong? Even the clock gets, as they say, is right twice a day, if there's no AM, PM. So even at least once a day, the broken clock is right. So what if they're right on this? Or maybe their motivation is different. Who cares? I'm not going to make my decision, in my view, based on what they say. So I'm going to over-exaggerate. So, Lindsey Graham says I'm going to buy a Ford, so I'm not going to go buy a Ford because Lindsey Graham's been wrong about everything and his motivation wrong. So I'm going to do the opposite. Come on now. I mean, people need to think a little more than, and that's no argument. That is not an argument, because these people want to bomb Iran and regime change. Is not an argument not to do it. Forget about them and let's look at as I'm trying to do here, at the situation. So, all right, I'm just gonna cross out here. All right, so yes, I talked about, and of course, the left's been doing all the wrong regime changes. The left's not in power now; it's Trump. So got to again look at things differently. So could the regime change be bad. Yes, of course. Things can always get worse, and I guarantee things will get worse. I mean, when you look at the Bible, things are going to get a lot worse. Is it now? Is it later? Who knows? But it is going to get worse. Is this the trigger, or is it not? Who knows? It might be, it might not be. But eventually things are going to get really bad in the world. It's predicted in the Old Testament, in the New Testament. It will happen. One thing is, I pray that America's God does not have his hands in ushering it in or helping it or having a part in the evil that's going to come. And that's a huge possibility. I mean, God showed me 4 years ago, and I did a video about it, about Trump's purpose and about America's role in the world and in end times, and I did a video about that. So it's on YouTube, you can look it up. So it's very important what America does and does not do. And the thing is that at the end, Israel will be left alone without any support. That's the prevailing view. There are some views that from the Bible that the wings of the eagle and going to protect Israel, that America still might be protecting. Either way, America's got to be on the right side of God, and that's where somebody's saying America's interest first. Well, the only way that can happen is if you put God's interest first, and that's God requires that, to put him first above everything else. Your family, your parents, your children, your country, your friends. That's what God requires. You might not like it. That's the way it is. That's the only way you're going to be blessed. So it's futile to put anything above God. Anything you put above God, you're bound to lose it eventually. God is a jealous God. A lot of people forget about that. So the other argument is that Bibi is doing this for his political survival, that he's dragging us into war. Okay, so that would be like Trump just now said that Iran can't have nuclear weapons. No, he's been very consistent over 10 years in it. Bibi's been very consistent for a lot longer that Iran is the biggest threat and cannot have nuclear weapons. But now he had his chance, yes, because that's why the left always tried to prevent a conservative right-winger to be president of the United States and Netanyahu or a right-wing government to be in power in Israel, exactly for this reason, because the left is protecting evil. The left is in bed with evil. The left is protecting the mullahs. Obama sent $2 billion cash on pallets and other things, just propping up the regime. So, and they try to exactly prevent this, what's happening now. And yes, I pray that Trump does the right thing, backs Israel, that they destroy their nuclear capabilities and allow Israel to do a regime change and stop interfering in Israeli domestic affairs and foreign affairs by hindering them and therefore putting them in a harm's way. So Bibi's been talking about this for a long time. He has over 80% support Bibi has in Israel in this war against Iran. So this whole argument, Bibi's got only 30% support in Israel, and therefore he's trying to save his political career by wagging the dog, pretty much, by doing this war, is nonsense, because first of all, you can't trust the polls. I think you should learn that by now. And there are other news that actually before this war that Bibi had over 50%. And Naftali Bennett had like over 20. like almost a 30-point difference. Is it true or not? I don't know. Okay, but the one thing is that yes, there's been a huge against Bibi, the judicial reform and all this and all that, which been instigated by the small minority Israeli left, which Israel has turned from their socialistic leftism. The leftist party now is majority, they're right wings, but there's still a very strong minority, very small minority of leftism that's supported by the world left and by the democratic left and American left and by American Jews, which are overwhelmingly leftist. So, this is Bibi. This is Bibi, and it's the neocons, and for crying out loud. So, I think I'm getting to a lot of it through. I got that. Okay, so what I would like to address as well got that. So Steve Bannon, I'm going to get on to Steve Bannon. I got a different view on Charlie Kirk. Steve Bannon, he's very smart, very intelligent, very capable, very knowledgeable. But again, in this, he's even more wrong than Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, at least, is just against regime change, and Steve Bannon is pretty much against everything now, supporting Israel, and this is the problem, which I'm not gonna make any friends with this video, and now, especially now with Catholics. What is it, today or yesterday? Steve Bannon is going against Israel, that the new covenant in Jesus Christ, therefore there is no spiritual biblical commandment to support Israel, the Jewish people, like it's been gone away with. That is actually a very prevalent view. But in the same breath, he says, well, we Catholics, we really don't read the Bible. Okay, how can you have any commentary on anything biblical when you don't read the Bible? Then what do you know? What the Catholic Church tells you? The Catholic Church that got so many things wrong? I mean, Catholic Church has a huge anti-Semitic Jew hatred problem. Pope is not biblical. Indulgences, purgatory, Mary, praying to saints. I mean, Mary always stayed a virgin, never had kids, praying to Mary. I mean, I can go on and on where the Catholics have things so fundamentally wrong. And so then to be weighing in on a biblical perspective when you don't know really anything about the Bible, when you don't read it, and total misunderstanding of the Old and New Testament, and the Gentiles and the Jews, Israel, and their role in everything, and how God looks at everything. So even as, and that's my point, is even that Steve Bannon gets most of the things right when it comes to the world and history, politics, and all of this, and very good at it. But eventually, when you have a wrong foundation, which Catholicism is, or Hinduism, or Islam, or atheism, or whatever, when you stand on a rotten foundation, wrong foundation, eventually it will come up somewhere where you're going to get fundamental things wrong, and that's where I'm not a fan where Trump put a lot of people in his cabinet where they're Hindus, or Catholics, or other things, is because they're going to get things very wrong, and then he's getting advice from them. The thing is, and for this I blame Christians. I blame evangelicals because they're lukewarm, they're weak, they're afraid, they lack courage, they lack discernment and wisdom. That's what God showed me. Today's church, I'm talking about the evangelical church, the Protestant church, not Lutherans and all of those, they're kind of gone, but you know, the Baptists, the Pentecostals, and all these evangelical churches. And it showed during COVID, and that's what the Lord showed me, that the American church is lukewarm, lacks wisdom, courage, and discernment, and they're weak. They don't stand up for anything. They don't preach the truth. They don't preach politics. Bible's all over the politics. Everything's politics. I mean, morality and laws and genders and marriage and you know, evil. Everything's in there. If we're not going to preach it, and Trump has a legitimate beef with the evangelicals. He complained about it many times. He has done more for evangelicals than any president in modern day history. Any. And they still turn on him and don't support him enough. So yes, then he goes and he recruits you know, these people, you know, out of faith or not the right faith. But God can work with that. I mean, Trump is divine appointed. I said you can look at my video. Why? Modern day Noah. He is to instrument to save America, but it's our choice if we're gonna listen and follow. But we're not gonna get there by criticizing, by abandoning. Criticizing, okay, by abandoning Israel. So, but God can work through, I mean, he worked through Nebuchadnezzar, he worked through a jackass speaking. I mean, he can work through anything. But, you know, if people that are called won't go, God will call somebody else and even have the rock to cry out. So, but he needs the support, and especially the midterm coming up. It's a whole other issue. So, all right, so I would like to address, so another thing, big stupid argument. Israel is not Israel, okay? Jews are not Jews, so we don't have to support Israel because they're not the historic Israel. They're not the ancient Israelites, the Hebrews, and even the Jews. So today, it's the Khazars or the Eastern Europeans, and they're you know, the infiltrators or whatever. They're the fakers, and so therefore we shouldn't. Yeah, somebody's on a bike playing loud music. So we shouldn't support them. First I'm going to give you the secular view, not even a religious view. So first of all, again, that's nonsense. Because, so how do you become Jewish? Okay, so even if this whole Khazar thing and Eastern European thing, all of that was true, so how do you become Jewish? You become Jewish by embracing the Jewish religion. Okay, that's how you become Jewish. So Sammy Davis Jr., of course, was not born a genetic Jew, but he embraced Judaism, and he became a Jew, acknowledged by Jews, rabbi, that he was Jewish. So it's by, just like, okay, when I came over here, are you going to tell me that I'm not American because I was born in Czechoslovakia? So I even became a U.S. citizen, and you're going to tell me I'm not American? So then nobody's American, not even the ones born here, because there's no such thing as really American. Okay, so or when France, got rid of their colonies, and some from the colonies came to France and became French citizens. So are they not French? No, they have no legitimacy to the nationality or to the land, and I can go on and on. I mean, if we want to go this route, then Mexicans are not Mexicans. You know, only the indigenous Indians, Native Americans, you know, keep changing words. Otherwise, they're Hispanic, came from Spain. Okay, so they're not Mexican. They don't have any right to the land. Americans don't have right to this land, and so no American. I mean, we can go on and on. I mean, Ukraine. So even if it's true, and they just came in there in Israel, took over the land, usurpers, not Jews, Khazars, Eastern Europeans, they established the country. Does it make it illegitimate? Illegitimate? No, it doesn't. So Ukraine would be illegitimate because Ukraine, under Soviet Union, took part of Czechoslovakia, a part of Poland, part of Romania. So is that country illegitimate? Or any other country? Iraq, Lebanon, Turkey, Syria, I mean, Jordan, all these countries would be illegitimate because it was, first it was under the Roman Empire, then it was under the Byzantine Empire, then it was under the Muslims, Ottoman Empire. So when Ottoman Empire got defeated in First World War, the Brits and the French took the map and made lines like this, created these states. So is it all legitimate? How about Egypt? Do you know the official name of Egypt? The Arabic Republic of Egypt, I think that's the official name. So there's really no Egyptians in Egypt, it's Arabs. That took over that land, conquered it. So are we going to say that all those Arabs that are in Egypt, they're not really Egyptian, they don't have right to the land because they conquered it? I mean, so this whole argument is nonsensical. The other thing is that where the whole Khazars came from is actually was a Jewish idea. It was a Jew that came up with this theory, and the only reason he did it was because of all the persecution of the Jews in Europe. So he tried to, because everybody ate Jews, so, oh, you know what, we are not really Jews, we're Khazars, so you don't have to hate us. And of course, it totally turned against the Jews, like it always does. So, and what about, okay, so you have in Israel right now, so you have the Ashkenazi Jews, the Sephardic Jews, the Mizrahi Jews. Okay, so even if the Khazars, your argument Khazars and Europeans, Eastern Europeans, which would be the Ashkenazi, Sephardic, okay, they are from Spain, they're from the south of Europe, but what about the Mizrahi Jews? We're never in Europe. Okay, for thousands of years, okay, they lived in Tunisia, Morocco, Iraq, Iran, Yemen, Syria, Egypt, okay, in North Africa and in the Middle East. So what about those? Who are those if they're not real Jews, according to you lunatics? So, and the other thing is this adoption, this conversion where you become a Jew, just like any other nation, when you become their citizen, you become one of them, even if you're not genetically born them. It goes way back. I mean, so now I'm going to talk a little Bible. What about Ruth and Rahab? Okay, Moabite, Ruth, and Rahab, I think, which was a Canaanite, if I'm not mistaken. All in line of Jesus, King David and Jesus. Gentiles, not Jews, that were considered Jews because they converted to Judaism. Where Ruth said to Naomi, your people are my people, your God is my God. Okay? So, you know, we can go, and Ruth was a great grandmother of David. Okay? Rahab was the mother of Boaz that Ruth married. So we can go on, and so when these people talk about that they're not real Jews, which they are, and the other thing is that, okay, so the covenant, Old Covenant, New Covenant, Old Testament, New Testament, oh, they all got rid of. So God's a liar, God changes according to them, where the Bible specifically says in both New and Old Testament, God never changes. God is the same today, yesterday, forever. And so his promises are forever. They don't change based on our behavior unless God specifically says, which he does sometimes, if you do this, I'm going to do this. So I will bless you if you bless thee, and I will curse you if you curse thee, and others. Consequences for your action. But certain promises are forever, regardless of how we Gentiles or the Jews behave. They're irrevocable. And so I even heard argument, I will bless thee, I will bless those who bless thee, and curse those who curse thee. Oh, that was given to Israel. One Israel, Jacob, that was renamed Israel. I mean, really like dumb arguments, because of course it was given to Abraham, and it was given to his seed, to his descendants, and it was reaffirmed with Isaac and Jacob, who became Israel. So it was given to Abraham, to the Jewish people, to his descendants and seed, and it's been reaffirmed many times in the Old Testament through a bunch of the prophets and in the New Testament, okay? How can people spew this nonsense without reading Romans 11? You that call yourselves Christian, that's Tucker Carlson, Steve Bannon, Jack Posobiec, it's another Catholic that gets this wrong, as most Catholics do, should read Romans 11. Paul spells it out very, very, very clearly that even somebody that is not too smart can understand it, okay? But as I said, once you go down that rabbit hole where you start hating Israel and the Jews, then you kind of lose any logic, common sense, and even looks like capacity to absorb any truth. So it's in Romans 11, all of Israel will be saved. All of Israel. So is he talking about Jacob? All of Israel will be saved. God has not rejected his people. I mean, I can go on and on. So many scriptures from the Old Covenant and the New Covenant, and the New Covenant is a fulfillment of the Old Covenant. And Jesus said, I didn't come to abolish the Old Covenant. He came to fulfill it, which the New Covenant was already prophesied, predicted in the Old Covenant, that God said, I'm going to make a new covenant. And thank God for the New Covenant, because otherwise we Gentiles wouldn't be allowed to come to salvation unless we converted to Judaism under the Old Covenant. So educate yourself, read your Bible, read history, stop listening to pundits that get things wrong. Because this is very significant. If you think, that's the other thing is, think America first, okay? So, have you found America in the Bible? No. What is the Bible mainly about? Yes, that piece of land, Israel, the nation of Israel, the Jewish people. Yes, it's about that. And that is one piece of land that God gave to that nation. And Jerusalem is the apple of his eye. So and that's where Jesus is going to come back. And Jesus himself only preached, besides the woman at the well, preached to Jews alone. And he said, gospel for the Jews. So I could go on and on about the Bible, but the one other thing which is funny, a lot of the problems that actually are going on in the United States, is thanks to the Catholics and the Catholic Church. And they are one of the main ones responsible for all the illegal immigrants that has crossed our border. Okay? They were facilitating it, promoting it. They were getting paid by the federal government to help do this. So the Catholics been on the wrong side of history pretty much the whole modern era. So open borders, unfettered migration, immigration, and all of this. You Catholics need to really reconsider your religion, because it's a religion, and a lot of things has very little to do with the Bible. Fundamental things wrong, and as they act, then they act wrong. So before Steve Bannon, as I said, he's very smart, very knowledgeable, but I'm not going to take any spiritual, biblical advice or opinion from Steve Bannon or Jack Posobiec or Tucker Carlson that claims he's a Christian, or Candace Owens, or I'm not even going to address that whole group of that Smith guy and the Hodge twins and Candace Owens and all of these people, because that they are over the deep end and nothing to do with Christianity at all. You cannot be a Christian if you hate the Jews, if you hate the state of Israel, and all these questions by Tucker Carlson. Oh, so we're supposed to support the political administration now in Israel? I mean, what kind of retarded question actually is that? Okay, so you only support it. You only support Israel when there's a administration in there or prime minister that you like. If you don't, you don't support it. Show me that in the Bible, Mr. Christian Tucker Carlson. What I don't like is when somebody claims to know something, and especially when it comes to Christianity, and spew total falsehoods. That drives me crazy. Otherwise, when it comes to secular things, world politics, all that, fine. You got a different opinion, okay? You're wrong. But when you start touching God and the truth, and you hate speech, when you start touching scripture and manipulating it towards evil and wrong, and trying to influence people in the wrong way, that's where I have a huge problem with. So, and last thing, where Iran is very important, and it's not like Iraq or Afghanistan or even Egypt, Libya, or Jordan. Okay, with that is a country, is a total made up country by that's the one thing I disagree with Churchill. What he did, he made that happen at the expense of the Jews. So look at history. Esther, okay, Haman, Xerxes. So that spirit, the evil spirit of Persia that the Bible talks about, is still there. And where Haman tried to have all the Jews exterminated, all of them, and Esther, Mordecai encouraged her, and Esther, Xerxes married her, and she saved the Jewish people, and Haman and all of his henchmen, they got killed. But that spirit never left. So trust when the mullahs are saying they want to exterminate Israel, all the Jews, that's what they want to do. And the small Satan first, and then the big Satan, which is America. So trust them. And then there's that history with Cyrus, that then he freed all the Jews and let them go back to Israel. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have. It's a lot longer than, oh my goodness, hour and 15 minutes. But this is very important. I don't want America to be on the wrong side of God. Who cares about history? Wrong side of God, because we will pay for it. You cannot go against God's family. You gotta and expect you're gonna be okay. Read Romans 11. We as Gentiles are grafted into the Jewish tree, and we can be easily ungrafted, cut off, and we will be as America. if we stop supporting the Jewish people and Israel. Let them do what they need to do. Let's help them. And that's all I got to say. God bless you.